Hi guys! So today I'm going to do a video on confidence and body language. The importance that body language plays in your confidence levels and how others perceive you. So the most important thing is not so much what you're saying verbally, but how you're saying it. So let's start with an example of presenting or having just a one-on-one conversation with someone. It's really important to really claim territory. So when you're standing there talking to a group of people or just one person, you don't want to cross your arms and take up a very little amount of space because then you're going to be seen as a little bit anxious, a little bit insecure, almost like you don't want to be seen. And people pick up on that. So try and claim your territory. Try and take up more space. So rather than having closed body language, try and have open body language. So put your hands on your hips when you're talking. That's an example of power posing, and I spoke about that in my last video, body language of attraction. So put your hands on your hips, on your waist, and that's going to boost your testosterone levels and lower your cortisol levels. And we want our cortisol levels as low as possible because that's the stress hormone. The higher your cortisol levels are, the more stressful and anxious you are, and inevitably you're going to appear. Another thing that's important is to use hand gestures when you're speaking. So you can use them to help validate a point, but you don't want to overuse them. You don't want your arms like flapping all over the place. So an appropriate amount of hand gestures when you're speaking. One of the most confident hand gestures is called the steeple. So if you're trying to make a really strong point or you want it to come across as a really strong point, steeple while you say it. Steepling looks like this. And when you're steepling, you're showing your hands. And that's really, really important because subconsciously, our brains pay a lot of attention to our hands. And this comes from an evolutionary standpoint because evolutionarily, if our hands weren't visible, that would or could be indicative that maybe we had a weapon. And that's dangerous. So we still have that instinct. So we still perceive people with their hands hidden or not visible as more dangerous and more threatening. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, when people show their hands and they use hand gestures such as the steepling or just hand gestures in general when they're talking and their hands are visible, it signifies to the person you're trustworthy. So don't put them inside of your pockets because on a subconscious level, that's going to make you seem untrustworthy, and that's not what you want. Okay, so now if you're sitting down, try and take up a little bit more space. Because like I was saying earlier, if you take up as little space as you can, you come across as, insecure and anxious and unapproachable, not confident. And that's the goal here, right? We want to look confident, we want to appear confident, and we want to feel confident. And if we engage in confident body language, we're going to feel more confident. It's actually going to change the chemistry within our body. So when you're sitting down, if you don't feel comfortable taking up more space, a great example would be to just put your arm over the chair. So you're comfortable, you appear as more confident, claiming a little bit of territory, not overkilling it like this or like that, especially in a setting where it's not very appropriate. So if you were on a job interview or if you were on a date with someone, you don't want to give off that egotistical kind of body language, and you want just the right amount. If you feel a little bit awkward doing that, just keep your hands just crossed on your lap, that's all. And try not to fidget your legs too much because that's a sign that you're a little bit anxious. So watch out for fidgety behaviors. Just try and remain calm and cool and keep your feet firmly planted if you can. Okay, so now moving on to speaking. You want to speak at a slow and a steady pace. So not too fast. You don't want your pitch to be too high. And very importantly, you don't want to have an inflection at the end of a statement that you're saying, because if you do that, it comes across as you being not so sure about the statement you just made. So let's say you call someone up or you introduce yourself and you say, "Hi, my name's Alyssa." Alyssa. It sounds like a question rather than a statement, rather than a confident statement. So subconsciously, the person's gonna think that, you aren't too sure about yourself. You're not too confident about what you're saying. And also try and be conscious of how much you say, like, because it is a bad habit, and I'm so completely 110% guilty of using verbal fillers, especially and like. So by doing these videos, I'm becoming more conscious of the fact that I use them even more than I thought I did. So I'm trying to be more conscious of it, and I'm actually even asking other people to let me know if I am doing it so that I can snap out of that habit. Maybe one last thing, because I don't want these videos to be too long. I don't want to go into too much depth yet, but just trying to keep your shoulders relatively upright. You don't want to have slouchy posture that comes across as insecure and maybe a little bit depressed and unapproachable. So try and keep your shoulders rolled back and your head up, right? So make sure that your chin's up and your shoulders are back when you're speaking. That will exude confidence. You will look more confident and you will feel more confident. When you're hunched over and your head's down, that's giving the complete opposite impression. So be conscious of all those things. So try and take up more space. So claim that territory. Put those hands on that waist. Spread your feet apart a little bit more. Shoulder width at least. Don't be afraid to put your arm resting on the chair like this, but be conscious of not overkilling it. So like going like that or spreading your feet too far apart. Saying like I'm doing right now. The verbal fillers. Try not to make statements sound like questions, so no voice inflection after. And speaking at a slow and steady pace with your head up and your shoulders back. And your feet, firmly planted, not fidgeting too much. And making those hands as visible as you can. So not putting your hands in your pockets, using that steepling gesture, and things of that nature. There's many other little tips and tricks, and if you guys have any questions or want me to do another video that goes into even further detail or more confidence tips, just let me know. Write it down below in the comments, and I will definitely post a video of that. Okay, thank you guys for watching.